Hi everyone, it's Stella
And Tarrant.
from Meeple University. Today we have 3 games, not 1, not 2, 3, as Tarrant finally demonstrate number 3. So we have Deadly Dowagers, Shelfie Stacker, and Goblin Vaults for a review. So these we put together because they are kind of like filler games, whether they're thinky or not. They kind of like filler games that feels not the whole night, but you can probably play the whole lot of these in one sitting. So we're gonna go ahead and then tell you a quick overview, and then we tell you what it is about, and we're also going to, or what we think of it, and we're also going to tell you if you should play these games or not. Let's get started. First game, we have Deadly Dowagers. Dowagers? Dowagers, thank you. Plays 2 to 6 players, and what drew me to this game is the theme. So we are in this era, you can see there, like Pride and Prejudice era, where one of these women's here, we're trying to gain money by collecting some wealth. Our family has given us a little bit of land, but we make our way up there by marrying the right person and get rid of them, and then marrying the next person. So.
Yes, it's thematically a very different,
it's
different sort of game.
It's not the game for everyone, but I thought it was like, oh, okay, you actually literally kill the husband to get to the next one. But anyway, we'll give you a quick overview first before we show you what we think of it.
Yes, so there's a very, very unusual theme. You could have done this industrially, perhaps, so they've done it in this lightly macabre sort of way. So
in a light way.
Yes. So ultimately the aim is to marry the Duke.
Yep.
This is the Duke here.
Yep.
And to marry the Duke you need a dowry of 120 pounds or crowns, I think they are, and to use a remarry card. Here's a remarry card. So that's what you're aiming to do. Through the game, every time you get a husband, you have to pay a dowry to gain that husband.
Yeah. They're quite materialistic as well.
Yeah. But then as you go through life with that husband, he will come with some wealth. He will build up more wealth through farms and gathering rent and things like that. And then when you take the action to kill off the husband, as the affairs are settled, you end up with all of the wealth from the marriage, and then you use that for your next dowry.
But you also get infamy, which is not good. You can't be too bad before marrying the Duke, so you have to balance it. But at least on your turn, it's basically a drafting game.
Yeah, this is basically a drafting game. It'll draft in opposite directions from round to round. So you will have your cards, you'll draft them around the table, end up with 4. And then you'll play those 4 cards. And there's various things you can do. So you can expand your lands. They cost you money to place, but then every time you run them, you'll gain some sort of money back.
There's once-off cards that give you money, or I think you can have affair or charity that gains you infamy, but then you get 5 money and so on.
Yep, charity, you'll be spending money to reduce your infamy.
There's also the set collection bit, which is shipping. So you get 1, you get -2, but you have 5, you have 12 money.
Yes.
And various things, and this is some of the ways to kill your husband. So
so at the end of each round is the husband phase, where you can play either a kill card to kill off the husband, and you'll get some infamy based on how bad the degree of murder is.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. It's just like this light theme.
Yeah, like there's a natural causes card which has no infamy, and there's I think there's an axe at one point, which is 3 or 4. Or you can remarry one of the other husbands that you can afford the dowry for. And you can even do both of those in a round, but if you don't, but you can only do one with a card. You have to do the other with the basic high infamy methods. So you've always got the option to strangle your husband for 7 infamy, and if you don't have a
horrible.
And if you don't have a remarry card, you can elope and get 5 infamy that way.
Elope always the option. And these are some of the husband cards. You're starting off with working class husband. I should probably do it there. And then you upgrade to like a higher class. What do they call it? The nobles. Before you eventually marry the dukes. When you're ready, when you have enough money and not such high infamy.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I mean, it's quite a solo game where you're just drafting and you do your own mainly. There are some cards that affects other people, so you can pay somebody and then reduce your infamy and so on. But essentially, the drafting, obviously, it's multiplayer. But when it comes to your actions, you basically do your own thing.
Yes. The game is fundamentally a race to $120.
Yes.
So you're really... you've got to be efficient. You've got to pick the cards that are going to get you the most money. It's, for me, there's not that many different ways to go about the game. I think this is a game that is, light and different in theme, as heavy as it sounded as we were describing all the murder. It's a game that is likely to cause a bit of fun. And it's likely to come down quite close because everyone's going to be racing at a similar pace.
Yeah.
I guess the major thing that will happen is as you go up through the husbands, they will start to have different
powers,
abilities.
Yeah.
So if you've got Farmer Stanley, for example, your farm cards are there's more ways to get money out of farm cards. As you've got Professor Bertram here, he's better at shipping. Then as you come up through the nobles, you can start discarding excess farms for money, which you can't do unless you've got this investor. This man is obviously of ill repute because you don't get infamy if you have an affair with him. You still get the money. So there's a few different options that you can go by there, but there's kind of always a progression up through the husbands, and I feel like not that much new is going to happen after repeated plays.
Okay, so it's not that replayable, but if you one of those that you got lots of games and you play this one and then maybe in a few months and play again, just having some lull, and this would be it. I think the theme, again, I say it's not for everyone, but I think it is quite... if you're taking it lightly, it's quite fun because you're murdering husband, you move on to the next husband until you get more money in marrying the duke, and woohoo, I win. It's really for the theme. It was fine. The gameplay was fine. Drafting was great, but yeah, if you like that you like drafting game, and if you like probably the theme more, then go for it. If you don't like the theme, obviously this game is not for you. Next game is Shelfie Stacker, game about stacking your board games. This game is by Shem Phillips, not by Garfield Games though, but the publisher is Arcus Games, and this plays 1 to 4 players.
Indeed. So thematically, this is a game about buying board games and then trying to fit them onto your shelves.
And not on your shelf of shame.
Indeed. And if you look down here, it is fundamentally a dice drafting game, and we've got these special dice here that the number of pips is represented by a number of stacked board games. So, you've got like a one here is a Gloomhaven or an Imperial, or it takes up a huge section of the shelf of its own. And then maybe, this is 2 full-size boxes and the West Kingdom series.
Expansions, maybe, if you don't put them together like Tarrant.
Indeed. And fundamentally, this game has a turn order draft and then a draft of dice. And you'll be putting them into your shelf, trying to make a pattern that will score the most points. And
simultaneous action selection in a card form.
Yep, so everyone will have a hand of cards, and everyone will simultaneously choose one of them to play. And then upon revealing, I'll just cover that up for the moment, everyone will then choose in number order from 1 up to 8. and have a special once-off ability which can be used at any point from that point forward until the end of the game, which can be used to manipulate the dice. You'll then choose one of the shipping boxes. 3 sets of games will come in it, and you build them up into your grid. If you've got a 6, you can change that to any number when you place it, so 6s are very important. And each column can only have a single colour in it. You can have multiple columns for the same colour, but each column can only have a single number and must go from lowest to highest as you build up. If you get a die that you cannot or don't wish to place, then you instead can pop it over here on your shelf of shame.
I call it shelf of shame.
Indeed. There's still a handful of actions on these cards that will let you pull it off your shelf of shame, but otherwise it is just going to languish there and be worth negative points. Which is no
So
good.
sad, yes.
So you'll do that through the game. Everyone has 8 cards in hand. There'll be 7 rounds. And at the end of the game, there are some common objectives to score here. So we've got have the most green dice. We've got a way of... This one will score you more if there's an odd number at the top of each row, or column, sorry. This one will score for a certain pattern if you can build that pattern of colours. And there's a big deck of these. Very big deck of these, so that'll be quite variable. And then also, as a default, you score points based on how high each of your columns will be, and you'll score the points equal to the pips on the highest number on each column. So you want low numbers early in the game and high numbers late, and it makes for a real shift in the drafting dynamics.
And of course, some of the cards that in high in number, the action card that you play, is it's such a good, powerful action, but then it's high numbers. You draft last.
Yep, there's actually 16 cards for each player in the game, but you will pick only 8 of those each, and this gives you some more advanced abilities as you go up through the higher numbers.
Yeah. So the game itself is a filler. I just love the theme of stacking board game, Shelf of Shame, and the rulebook itself is actually quite fun and funny. It's quite conversational and it's quite fun. So it really is about the drafting is probably in the simultaneous action selection is the multiplayer interactive one, but then the rest is the personal puzzle that you need to figure out on your board and use which power. You can use multiple powers at one turn, and then you need to figure out how to stack your shelf the best and then have the most points, and also at the same time getting these objectives.
Indeed. There's a lot of Easter eggs in here for board gamers, even down to these shipping boxes. This one here is from the Careful Carry Couriers, and it's this mangled box that someone has written Crushed Corner Couriers on.
It's a different one as well. See Monster Shipping, and then look at this, the shipping label, and then they're different for each player slightly. It's very cute.
Yep. All of these cards have some nice Easter eggs on them as well.
Raiders.
Raiders of the North Sea is in there. This person likes dice.
There's some stuff in there. I'm sure we
work
would have missed something there. Terrifying Mars.
Yep.
Dr. Howe.
Yeah, the geek is putting Board Game Geek 8.4s on everything. Various fun things in there. So.
Yeah, I remember seeing this one as well. This is a helpful. Look, the regifter. So you can actually return one die to here, and then that's it, out of the game. It's really so cute. Like, look at this, like the artwork, and it's just very cute.
Overall, it's a fun enough game. I don't think it distinguishes itself greatly from other games in the drafting, grid placement, objective setting style.
So I guess the theme would actually the one that, it's like, it's just too close to heart. So I love it. I love the game and I love the theme. And I think it's a fun game for starting. It's not too heavy, but it has got some personal puzzle.
Yeah.
Great.
I think what is good is the turn order draft. I do like a game with a turn order draft. So
yeah.
I think that's probably the best thing that this game puts into it.
And should you play this game? I think you should. If you're watching this, that means there's a big chance that you are board gamers. So if you like the theme, do go play it. If you like that sort of personal puzzle, go for it. The last and third game, we have Goblin Vaults, and it plays 1 to 5 players.
Yes, so this is another game set in the role-player universe from
Ooh.
Thunderworks Games. Thematically, this is the game that goblins play against each other in Goblin Prison.
Yeah.
So you can think of it as kind of like the equivalent of Three Dragon Ante out of the Dungeons and Dragons universe. It's a game within a game.
Warning, this is a thinky filler. Spoiler.
Indeed. So this is it's a card game that has this deck of cards. You'll have 4, 5, or 6 suits ranging from 1 to 10, depending on your player count. And it's all about trying to get the right 10 cards from the display and from other players into your tableau to score points. So to start the game, everyone will add 1 card to the tableau. Everyone just gets to do that at the start of the game. Then on each turn, you'll go around starting from the first player, and you'll place a bid on one of these 3 cards available. So let's say I chose to bid this one here. That would be a 2. Now, the bid goes, it's a simple high card bid with then 1 trump suit called the Warden suit that is over the top of all others. So if the next person were to come in and play, say, a 4 of green and mark that, then this would be considered winning. Likewise, if the player had played a 2 of yellow, because yellow is the trump, that would be considered winning. But playing a 2 of green would not. And anytime you underbid, you have to pay one of your gears. These are the victory points in the game.
1 to 1, yep.
You have to pay one of these onto the current winning bid. And that will stay there until someone takes that card. Once everyone has played a card, so here there'd be 5 cards spread between these, you go through each column. Whoever wins the bid, so in this case it would be here, whoever wins the bid takes the card that was being bidded on, adds it to the tableau, and replaces it with the card they bid. Anyone who didn't win, whether they underbid or not, whether they underbid or whether they were later beaten, takes the card they bid and adds that to their tableau. And sometimes you'll want to underbid because you'll want those tableau cards. Sometimes you'll really want the cards that are out in the display.
And why do you want the cards?
Yes, so at the end of the game, your tableau will be it will be 4 cards wide, and each column will be up to 3 cards long. And I'm just doing a random tableau here. What do I need? 1 more card. At the end of the game, you'll score points based on various objectives of how these are laid out. So first, each card shows you whether it wants to be on the bottom, the middle, or the top. And you'll get 1 card for correctly placed bottoms, 2 for correctly placed middles, and 3 for correctly placed tops.
Obviously, this is not correct. This is not correct.
Yeah, so this would be a 1-point column on that, but if I had played them like this, then it would be 6 points, 1 plus 2 plus 3. Each player has a faction. That's this separate icon to the suit in the top middle. You get 2 points for every card in your tableau that matches your faction. So there's an incentive there to go chasing your own faction. There's an incentive to simply collect these tokens off the cards because they're worth 1 point each. And if you don't have any, you're not allowed to underbid, which can result in having face down cards in your tableau. And then there's these 3 objectives in the game, and those will score, in these cases, it's 3 points, 4 points, 9 points, based on meeting certain objectives. So the cluster one here, you want to do sequences, ascending or descending. So I got no sequences here, but if, for example, this card were
2, 3, 4.
like here, 2, 3, 4, then I would get 9 points for that column off this card.
And then there's like different objectives, and then they add even more objectives on the side there, and then it's just flippable. Flip.
Yep, so we've got like points if the crown card is the strictly highest one in a column. If the skull is strictly lowest. There's a whole range of different objectives there.
Very replayable.
Yep. Other things that are going on, so when you're the first player, you can change the trump suit at the end of the round by switching it out with one of the 3 that's now available there. And you get a little bit of flexibility when you play a card that has the same action as the trump suit. It lets you either cycle a card from your hand with one from the deck to try to find a card that you just haven't seen, or it lets you make one movement of a card to anywhere, including pushing others down in your tableau. So that can be really important if you're getting cards in the wrong order to make sure you get that 1 or 2 movement later to optimize your tableau.
Yes, that's basically it. It's a bit of a bidding, it's a bit of trick-taking mechanic, and I think this is a thinky filler. It's very thinky, trying to sort out, do you want to win the bid, do you want to lose the bid, you want to take the cards, which one you want to put on your tableau at the time, and the main objective, the common objective, 1 to 3 points, or do you want to do these game objectives, different each game almost.
Yes.
There are also, this one's like 1-to-1 points at the end of the game, so do you want to give it up or not? There's this one. It's just a lot that you have to think about, and for those who's a bit ginger with bidding, it's okay. Like, you are a bit ginger on bidding, and you're okay with that because it's not like a free for everyone bidding. It's great. It's awesome. It is very thinky, and it has only a little bit of the trick-taking mechanic, which, okay, that's it. It's not like, okay, you win and then you trump it a little bit, and that is a great way of also introducing trick-taking. If you're not used to it, you haven't played the Crew or other games, the Crew 2 and so on, then I think this is very good. Now, 2 players has got a bot, like a neutral players. It's still fine, but I think higher player count is better. So it plays up to 5, but I reckon the great number here is probably like 3-4 players. Do you agree?
I think, it has a different vibe at each player count. I feel like 4 might be the buffer zone. Yeah, I think it has its charm at every player count. There's a few differences between it in terms of how competitive the bid is versus what's going on. What I really enjoy about the game is that it's pretty much impossible to achieve everything.
Oh yeah. I mean, we haven't seen of all the games we played that somebody could achieve every single little thing.
Yeah. Even to get the 1s, 2s, 3s in the right positions and meet these objectives is very hard. So you end up making a lot of challenging decisions with quite a limited number of actions to build this up. And I think it's really powerful when the game doesn't give you enough time and freedom to let everything fall into place. You've got to make tough decisions. Yes. You've got to take risks on saying, do I take a lesser version now, or do I wait to do the card move that I really needed? So I think that really keeps the game interesting and quite replayable.
And should you play? It's definitely, I think you should. It is not too heavy to introduce you to somebody who kind of like still used to games, not particularly trick-taking games. But yeah, it's that decision, it's like that Cascadia decision, it's that Calico decision that, there's like, which one? Do you want to push it, do you want to reach it, or you might fail, that sort of feeling. So yes, we both agree.
Yeah, it's got a deceptive level of depth to it.
Yes, it's very deep. So those are our 3 games. Now, which one's your favorite, you think? They are all different games, of course, but let us know in the comments, is there your preferred one? Is there any games you want us to feature, or do you want us to feature a little bit more particular games? And if we have other type of videos of these games, we will link it below, like for example Goblin Vault, we have live played through it, so you can see how it plays with 2 players, and so on. And if you find this video useful, if you can please hit the like button and subscribe to us, will be really helpful. You can also find me on Instagram and other social medias. And thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.